You may be aware that I've recently moved to a new patch, along with lots of pots, plants, soil and a year's supply of garlic. After 13 plus years at my sprawling patch in Mount Barker, it's time to restart. It's an exciting journey, but not without its challenges. While I'm looking for my next dream plot, I'm living in a rental property. And whilst there's less room to move, physically and figuratively, I'm keen to show that you can still have a great productive garden to supply yourself with high-value, nutrient-dense organic veggies and herbs, even in the short term. Limitations can make you a great gardener, pushing you to experiment, get creative and learn different ways of growing. I'm going to take you through how to consider timing, water and weeds to make the most of however long you've got in any particular garden. The temptation is always to jump straight in without thinking things through. But if you spend a bit of time considering the space, you'll reap the benefits. Research rainfall. Check out what your neighbours are growing and make note of any microclimates that exist on your property. What are the amounts of sun and shade? Here it's quite sunny, but in winter, the surrounding evergreen trees will likely shade most of the backyard. I have a wall of the house that gets the western sun, so it was an easy decision to place my thriving succulent collection there. Make a note of existing plants and what might be a problem, and also look at the tools that you might need to maintain the garden. Have a conversation with your landlord about what they expect you to do to maintain the garden. Usually, you have to leave it the way you found it, so take some photos. Not being able to dig deep to create in-ground garden beds is a bit of a bummer, but growing plants in raised containers has plenty of benefits. You've got better control over the soil and drainage, you can avoid growing plants in potentially contaminated soil, and you can also move the containers if the light changes through the seasons. I had a few wicking beds on hand, which were the first things to go in to get crops underway. Wicking beds are great at optimising water use. I sought permission from the landlord to place them here, and when I go, I'll simply scatter lawn seed over the area. I might even find that it will grow better because of the added nutrition that washes through. Wicking beds are fantastic for getting you through dry times, but you'll also use less water overall. I've collected a few old washing machine drums and large containers to grow produce in. It's worthwhile checking out your local tip shop to save money along the way. And for pots, go for self-watering or as large as possible. Always use good potting media, but like with any potting soil, once it dries out, the soil can become water repellent, so avoid that. Cluster small pots together so you can water them all at once to save time. I love the way different groups of pots look too. And don't forget that simple structures like a trellis or pot stands can add a lot more temporary growing space and instant interest to a contained garden, even indoors. There's not much point in planting tomatoes in raised beds in spring if you're moving out in summer. So if that was the case, you're better to grow them in containers which are portable. Think about how long it takes from planting seedlings to your harvest and the resources that are required to grow the crop. Choose crops that will give you reward based on the time frame of your lease. Fast-growing crops include silverbeet, lettuce, kale and Asian greens. Most of them will grow all year round in a sunny position. These crops are annuals, so if you have to leave them behind or pull them out, it's no great cost loss. Don't forget to plant flowers, including ornamentals for beneficial bugs. Here I've got Greek basil for the bees, there's coriander, marigolds, calendulas, rocket and sunflowers. Rental properties often have a bare minimum of plants and they're lacking in biodiversity, which is detrimental for productive crops. There's a long list of classic weeds here. Kikuyu has invaded everywhere. There's beds of ivy, violet, tradescantia, fishbone fern and asparagus fern. Even the East Coast native blueberry ash is self-seeding in this favourable climate. As much as eradication would be nice, trying to manage these weeds is just going to waste my energy and I'm never going to win. So instead, I'm going to try and get the weeds out before they self-seed, a bit late for this one, or simply trim back any runners, and I can use a whippersnipper or hedge trimmers to do that. just like inside, keeping the yard neat and tidy keeps the landlord happy too. So whether you're only staying somewhere for a short period of time or you're renting, don't give up on gardening. Grow plants in containers or pots and you'll feed your belly and your soul.